Have you ever had some little kid just come up to you and start telling you a story as if you were lifelong friends? That kind of thing doesn't tend to go over very well when you try it as an adult. But does it have to be that way? I want to remind you of 3 childhood traits that just might save the world if only we could carry them into our adulthood. 1, kids see everyone as a potential friend. I was once at the Denver airport, and I saw 2 little toddlers coming toward each other from opposite directions. And as they got a little closer to each other, they put down their tiny little rolly bags, hugged it out for a few seconds, and then went their separate ways. What if all of us could see each other as potential friends? I think there would be a lot less loneliness, for one thing. That could help with depression and the opioid epidemic. It could also help with the current climate of tension in America. When we get to know each other on a true friendship level, our differences and prejudices tend to fade away, and we treat each other better. There's an old saying that familiarity breeds contempt. But I prefer the teachings of Charles Duhigg, the author of the book Habit, who confirms that the better we know other people, the harder it is for us to turn our backs on them when they need help. Familiarity breeds community. I work as a musical therapist for the elderly. This is a population that many people tend to push aside as one uninteresting collective. But when I take the time to hear their stories, I find out some amazing things. One was the stunt double for Shirley Temple. One helped build the reunion tower in Dallas. And one snuck through Checkpoint Charlie buried under coal in a delivery truck. Everyone around us carries some kind of interesting story. When I was a teacher, I often felt I didn't have time to get to know my students. But on those occasions when I did, I found out one was a gold medalist in the Junior World Olympics. One was staying at home alone because both of his parents were in the hospital. And more than one were contemplating suicide. Allowing teachers and students the chance to form more meaningful bonds might bring school cultures to a level where a troubled child would feel comfortable going to an adult for help before things ever reach the level of a school shooting. Who in your life could you get to know better? As adults, we tend to save our deep concern for those in our close inner circle. But kids cast the net much wider, even caring for inanimate objects. I love the YouTube video of the little boy who has a Spider-Man piñata, and he's got his bat all ready to hit it, and in the end, he just can't bring himself to do it, and instead he goes up and gives the piñata a big hug. Kids have to be taught to hurt one another or to see each other as less than. When's the last time you saw a toddler making fun of another toddler for his hairstyle or onesie label? Toddlers can get away with pretty much any look they want. But as early as kindergarten, we have to start worrying about whether our appearance will be up to snuff. Fortunately, that tends to fade away again by the time you reach age 80 or so. But there are a lot of years in between where it really matters, as do our skin color, our gender, our religion, and our political party. What if we could erase caring about all that, just like a toddler does? We might even be able to end wars. The second childhood trait that might save the world is a pure fascination with the planet. Do you remember your first trip to an amusement park? It was so easy to imagine you really were in a princess castle or riding on a flying elephant. But we've all heard adults at these parks saying things like, "No, we are not getting on the Peter Pan ride. We have to get to Space Mountain for the Fast Pass, and if you ask for ice cream one more time, you're going to go sit in the car." What if we could all see the world through eyes of wonder, like a child, and find magic in every leaf, flower, and stone? I remember being able to amuse myself for hours, just cracking open rocks to see what was inside, or simply marveling at the patterns in my mother's dresses. You may think you don't have time for such nonsense, but it doesn't really take much time or effort to decide to notice things. Spend a day noticing the color red or stripes, or sounds. You'll find that you're more present without having to shell out $1,000 to one of those workshops on how to become more present. When we view the world through this lens, we have a greater appreciation for it. We tend to treat it better. There's another great YouTube video of a little boy who's in his car seat just crying and distraught over the way adults are destroying the environment, and he vows to protect it. I have a little student who likes to pick worms up off the sidewalk and put them in the grass where they'll be safe. What if all adults took such care for our planet and its inhabitants? When I was little, I went around the neighborhood with a little clipboard collecting signatures on a petition to save the whales. Did you have a similar campaign? But as adults, we tend to give up hope. We see that no one else is trying, so why should we bother? But kids see it the opposite way. If they care about something, surely they can get someone else to care about it. And by gosh, they're going to try. The third childhood trait that we'd be best to keep is our ability to be imaginative, creative, and playful. Do you remember when you could entertain yourself with just a box? It could be a dollhouse, or a puppet theater, or a rocket ship to the moon. Or you could spend all day pretending to be a dog, or a fairy, or a superhero. I used to love those times when I had to ground my son from video games, because during those times, he would enter a zone of true creativity, finding all kinds of different ways to amuse himself and build things out of ordinary objects. But we tend to discourage this kind of thing when kids reach school age. We tell them they've got to stop daydreaming and grow up, sit up straight and do your worksheets. We're even seeing schools get rid of electives and recess. You know, we're doing all of this in the name of preparing our children for the workforce. But I worry about a future in which the citizens have not been trained to solve problems creatively or to appreciate play for that matter. For both adults and children, play should be a time of guilt-free stress release, of community without expectation, or just as a reminder of what's really important. What good are the fruits of your labor if you're not going to take the time to enjoy them? So what steps can we take today to regain our inner child? To form more human connections, imagine everyone as your family member. Sometimes when I'm driving on the highway and someone's trying to cut me off, I imagine it's my mother and gladly wave her in. Or if I see a child being bullied, I imagine it's my own son, and I step in and say something. Learn people's names and use them. The waitress, the receptionist, the delivery person. Look them in the eyes and make a true connection. Find out about the people in your workplace. What are their hobbies? What are their families like? What are their struggles? Give someone a personal belonging as a gift. Tell someone you're sorry. Say hi to strangers. Wave at people in cars, or get a truck driver to toot his horn. Tell a joke in a quiet elevator. Or say it's okay when someone expects you to be angry. You never know when you might make someone's day. To recapture your fascination with the planet, spend 5 minutes staring at a leaf or a flower or a bug and marvel at how intricate it is. Google a topic that's always made you curious. Find pictures in the clouds, or spend a day noticing the ground. Try not to step on any cracks. Maybe you'll find some treasures. Spend 5 minutes listening to all the different sounds you can hear. Practice patience. Watch an airplane cross the sky, or a bug cross the sidewalk, water going down the drain, or an ice cube melting. Marvel at your hands and all the different things they can do. Or go to a museum you've never visited. To become more creative, imaginative, and playful, spend a day imagining that you have a fairy godmother or a guardian angel watching over you. Maybe she'll even make her presence known. Or spend a day pretending that you're a magical wizard or an alien visiting the planet for the first time. Bounce a ball, paint a picture, blow bubbles, sing out loud, or skip down the sidewalk. Try not to worry about what people think. Think of a problem and come up with a solution. Make designs in your food. Watch cartoons instead of the news. Read a children's book out loud using character voices, even if you don't have kids. Or walk barefoot through the grass. You'll find it doesn't take much time or effort to make this small shift in your perception. But that little shift can make a world of difference in your life and the lives of those around you. Now go find your inner child.